Okay, so for today's deep dive, we're tackling something, frankly, quite chilling. We're pulling back the curtain on the actual minute-by-minute sequence of a massive nuclear exchange.
Yeah, and we're drawing on some really detailed sources here. Declassified documents, technical analyses, even first-hand accounts from inside the government. The scenario they focus on is this bolt out of the blue.
A surprise attack, no warning.
Exactly. It starts with Washington, D.C. being hit, and then, well, it spirals into total global catastrophe in less than an hour.
And the takeaway from all this material, it seems, is just the terrifying speed, and how deterrence, the thing meant to prevent this, actually fails catastrophically when it's put to the test.
It kicks off with a single 1-megaton bomb aimed at the Pentagon.
Which is huge, first off. But what's really striking is what the sources reveal about preparedness. It's less about preventing it and more about what? Keeping some shadow government going after potentially hundreds of millions are dead.
That's the grim reality of it. Trillions spent on continuity of government after the fact. It really underscores what the experts keep saying. There's no such thing as a limited nuclear war. Once it starts,
It goes all the way.
it's fundamentally designed to escalate to an apocalyptic scale.
Okay, so to really grasp that, we probably need to step back a bit. Look at how we even developed weapons capable of this. I mean, Hiroshima, little boy, 1945. That was around 15 kilotons. Horrific, yes, but
But almost immediately, the race was on for something vastly more powerful, the super bomb, the hydrogen bomb.
right.
And the prototype, Ivy Mike, tested in 52. It wasn't kilotons, it was 10.4 megatons.
Okay, wait. Help me visualize that. How much bigger is a megaton than a kiloton?
1,000 times bigger. So Ivy Mike was like almost 700 Hiroshima bombs going off at once.
700! Wow.
And the test itself tells the story. Ivy Mike didn't just damage the island, Illuge Lab. It vaporized it. Completely gone. Left a crater deep enough and wide enough, they calculated, to hold 14 Pentagon buildings.
14 pentagons. So we'd achieve the power to literally erase landmasses.
Pretty much, yeah.
That context makes the next step almost logical in a terrifying way. Developing the plan for how to use this power. Which brings us to SIOP, right? 1960.
SIOP, the Single Integrated Operational Plan. Basically, the first comprehensive nuclear war plan, the target list for a full-scale attack on the entire Sino-Soviet bloc.
And they actually sat down, planned this out.
Oh, yes, at Strategic Air Command in Nebraska. Sources include accounts from people who were in that room. One official, John Rubel, later admitted he felt sickened, calling it, and this is a direct quote, a plan for mass extermination.
Mass extermination. Because the projected death toll from just that initial 1960 plan, it was, what, 600 million people?
600 million. At the time, that was roughly 1/5 of the entire human population.
Unbelievable. Did anyone object? I mean, in that room.
There's this striking account of one voice of dissent, General David Shoup, the Marine Corps commandant. He apparently looked at the plan, saw that it included killing 300 million Chinese, even if China wasn't directly involved in the initial conflict, and just said, that is not a good plan.
Just blunt. Not a good plan.
In a room, seemingly okay with planning the death of 1/5 of humanity, yeah, it really highlights the mindset.
And this whole architecture of destruction was built under the banner of deterrence. Keep the peace by having an insane number of weapons. We had over 31,000 by 1967. It just feels like such a paradox, doesn't it? How does having the ability to end the world multiple times over keep you safe?
Well, that's the gamble. Deterrence works, right up until the moment it doesn't.
And when it fails, speed is everything. It's faster than most commutes, apparently.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
The sources, particularly the Jason scientists' calculations, are precise. An ICBM launch, say, from Russia or maybe North Korea today, takes 26 minutes and 40 seconds to reach its target in the U.S.
26 minutes, start to finish.
That's right. And it happens in 3 stages.
Okay, break that down.
First, you've got the boost phase. That's about 5 minutes. The rocket ignites, climbs out of the silo, gets up to speed.
Got it.
Then the longest part, mid-course. About 20 minutes. The warhead separates, coasts silently through space, basically invisible.
Okay.
And then the final dive. Terminal phase, just 100 seconds, 1 minute and 40 seconds from re-entering the atmosphere to impact.
Wow. So the instant that boost phase is detected by satellites or radar, that 26-minute clock starts ticking, and key places light up immediately.
Instantly. Cheyenne Mountain, Colorado, the Pentagon's command center, Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska where Strategic Command is, they all know.
And they're operating under a specific policy that basically guarantees escalation, right? Launch on warning.
Exactly. That's the core doctrine. Launch on warning means you don't wait to get hit. If you detect a massive incoming attack, you launch your own missiles before the enemy warheads arrive. The assumption is you can't ride out the first strike.
Which explains why so much of the arsenal is kept on hair-trigger alert.
Correct. Ready to go in minutes.
So, for the president who has the sole authority, it's not really a decision whether to launch, is it? It's more like confirming the pre-planned response under impossible pressure.
It's an immense burden. President Reagan famously talked about this. He said, 6 minutes to decide how to respond to a blip on a radar scope and decide whether to release Armageddon. How could anyone apply reason at a time like that?
6 minutes.
The system's built for speed, for reaction, not really for deliberation in that moment.
And the tool for that decision, the famous football, the briefcase?
Yeah.
It has a weirdly, almost low-tech origin story, doesn't it?
It really does. Apparently, back in 1959, some official visited a NATO base and saw 2 nuclear bombs being guarded by, well, by a single young Army private with a standard M1 rifle.
That was it.
That was the physical security preventing unauthorized use at that moment. That sight, understandably, caused some alarm. It led directly to developing ways to ensure the president, and only the president, could authorize launch.
So that led to the football, with the codes and options, and also things like PLs, permissive action links.
Exactly. PLs are like physical locks on the weapons themselves, requiring codes. It solved the rogue commander, or private with a rifle problem, but it cemented that 6-minute decision window firmly onto the president's shoulders.
Okay, so in the scenario our sources lay out, those 6 minutes have passed, deterrence has failed, the authorization is given, now the actual impacts start. And it's a sequence, right? Not just one hit.
Right. The scenario describes a couple of key initial strikes designed to cause maximum chaos and ensure retaliation. The first one we see hits the West Coast, California, minute 21 after the initial enemy launch.
And this is the one they call the devil's scenario.
Why? Because it's specifically targeting the Diablo Canyon Power Plant. And it's not an airburst designed to flatten things. It's a 300-kiloton surface burst.
Surface burst. And what's the significance of that?
Maximum radioactive fallout. The goal isn't just the explosion. It's to pulverize the reactor facility, guarantee a meltdown, and critically, to vaporize and disperse the thousands of spent fuel rods stored on site.
Ah, the spent fuel. That stuff is incredibly radioactive and lasts forever, basically.
Pretty much. The sources estimate that dispersing those 2,500 spent fuel assemblies would contaminate an area potentially the size of 2 New Jerseys, permanently.
2 New Jerseys. Uninhabitable. Forever.
Radioactive particles seeded into the soil, the water. No farming, no living there. It's an environmental catastrophe designed to last geological time.
Okay. So it's California at minute 21, then the main strike hits Washington, D.C. at minute 33. A bigger weapon this time.
Yes, the 1-megaton bomb targeting the Pentagon. The effects are, well, immediate and total within a certain radius.
Describe it.
The fireball itself expands to over a mile wide, about 5,700 feet. Anyone within about 2.5 miles, say, if you're at a Nationals game, would experience instantaneous third-degree burns. Or just combustion.
No time to even react.
None. And the medical system collapses instantly. The sources point out there are maybe 10 specialized burn beds in the entire D.C. area, which, of course, is now inside the immediate destruction zone.
And there's that horrifying detail about the reverse section.
Yeah. After the initial blast waves moves out, the intense heat creates a vacuum effect. Air rushes back in, dragging debris, cars, people, back towards the center of the firestorm. It's just unimaginable.
This is clearly a decapitation strike. The White House, Pentagon gone. What happens to the leadership?
The Secretary of Defense, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs.
Yeah.
They're either killed outright or, if they're lucky, maybe they escape just beforehand. They'd be heading for hardened bunkers like Raven Rock or trying to get airborne on the E-4B, the doomsday plane.
And the fear, according to someone like former Defense Secretary William Perry, is that the constitutional line of succession just breaks down.
Completely. Who's in charge? How do you verify? The fear is you could end up, however unintentionally, under some form of military authority simply because the civilian leadership is gone or unreachable.
So D.C. is hit, leadership is scattered or dead. But before that happened, the U.S. did launch its response, right? Option Charlie.
That's right. Option Charlie aimed at North Korea in this scenario. 82 warheads delivered by 50 Minuteman III ICBMs launched from silos in the Midwest.
Okay, the U.S. strikes back. But here's where it gets even worse because of geography, trajectory.
Exactly. It's what insiders apparently call the hole. To get to North Korea efficiently from those U.S. bases, the flight path for those 50 ICBMs goes directly over Russia.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So imagine you're sitting at a Russian early warning radar station. Suddenly you see dozens, maybe hundreds of objects arcing over the North Pole, heading towards Russian airspace.
You don't know they're aimed at North Korea. You just see incoming U.S. missiles, hundreds of them.
You assume the worst.
Yeah.
You assume it's a massive American first strike aimed at you, especially after D.C. just got hit. Maybe they think you did it, or maybe they don't care who started it anymore.
So the Russian president, likely in a bunker somewhere deep in Siberia,
sees this data under unimaginable pressure, likely believes hundreds of U.S. warheads are minutes away from impact. They do exactly what launch on warning dictates. They reach for their equivalent of the football, the Chegit system, and authorize a massive retaliatory strike.
using their most powerful option.
Absolutely. We're talking maybe 1,000 warheads, heavy ICBMs like the SS-18, nicknamed the Satan missile, or its successor, the Sarmat, the son of Satan, each carrying multiple MIRVs, multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles.
Meaning one missile carries many warheads, hitting many targets.
Correct. Plus, submarine-launched missiles, the SLBMs, firing from under the Arctic ice. It's the full-scale response. Mutual assured destruction becoming reality.
And the timeline, it's still going. There's another shoe to drop, isn't there? Even as the Russian missiles are flying.
Yes. Minute 55. North Korea delivers a final crippling blow, but it's not a direct impact. It's a super EMP weapon.
EMP, electromagnetic pulse.
Right. They detonate a nuclear weapon optimized for EMP effects about 300 miles high, roughly over Omaha, Nebraska, center of the country.
And being that high up means?
It means the electromagnetic pulse radiates outwards and downwards, blanketing basically the entire contiguous United States. Instantly.
No physical destruction, but functional destruction.
Total functional destruction. They call it electric Armageddon. The grid goes down everywhere, instantly.
And that means everything, not just lights.
Everything controlled by electronics. SCADA systems, the computers running power plants, water pumps, sewage treatment, pipelines, traffic lights, railway signals, they all fry.
Cars stop working. Hospitals go dark.
Modern cars with electronics, yes. Trains could derail a control. Hospital backup generators might work for a bit, but the systems they support rely on the grid. No fresh water pumping, no sanitation. Society just stops. No way to organize recovery.
So we've had the decapitation strike, the retaliatory strikes, the counter-retaliatory strikes involving thousands of warheads, and now the entire U.S. infrastructure is offline. What's the final global consequence?
Nuclear winter. It's the inevitable result of thousands of nuclear detonations, especially over cities and industrial areas.
How does that work exactly?
Massive amounts of soot and ash from the firestorms are injected high into the stratosphere. This dark cloud spreads around the globe, blocking sunlight.
Blocking sunlight, leading to a temperature drop.
A dramatic one. Climatological models cited in the sources predict a global average temperature drop of about 27 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe even 40 degrees in mid-latitudes like the U.S. and Europe.
27 degrees colder on average. For how long?
The models suggest sustained, freezing temperatures, even in summer, for possibly 6 years or more in those mid-latitudes.
6 years of freezing, that means.
The end of agriculture as we know it. Global crop failures. Mass famine on an unprecedented scale. The entire food chain collapses. Studies estimate that a full U.S.-Russia exchange could lead to over 5 billion deaths from starvation alone.
5 billion?
And even for any potential survivors who make it through the cold and starvation, there's a final twist.
What's that?
The same nuclear blasts produce huge amounts of nitrous oxides. These gases rise up and destroy the Earth's ozone layer.
The ozone layer that protects us from UV radiation.
Exactly. So when the skies eventually clear years later, the returning sunlight would be loaded with lethal levels of ultraviolet radiation.
Yeah.
It's just layer upon layer of catastrophe.
It's an almost unbelievably bleak picture, painted in such stark detail by these sources, but they seem to circle back to a surprisingly simple point, don't they?
Yeah, that none of this had to happen. That it's a system we built.
It reminds me of that metaphor, the apes on a treadmill.
Right. The idea that the arms race is just this monkey-do cycle. Each side copies the other's aggressive moves, spends fortunes, runs faster and faster.
But ultimately goes nowhere except maybe off the edge of the cliff together.
Precisely.
So wrapping this up,
Right.
what's the final thought for you, for the listener? That there's that interesting connection made to archaeology, to Göbekli Tepe.
Right, that incredible 12,000-year-old site in Turkey,
Right.
built by complex hunter-gatherers way before we thought societies like that existed.
Yeah.
And then it seems they intentionally buried it all and vanished.
And archaeologists still debate why. What catastrophe or societal shift caused them to disappear so abruptly?
Exactly. And the chilling thought is, if we unleash this nuclear catastrophe, if our civilization essentially resets to zero, future archaeologists, maybe future humans thousands of years from now, might find the ruins of our cities.
And they'd wonder the same thing about us. What happened? Why did this apparently advanced civilization just disappear?
The sources really drive home that point. The final enemy wasn't another country. It was the weapons themselves.
Yeah.
It always was.
A sobering thought to end on. Thanks for walking us through that.
Thank you.